Most somatic or embodiment work today trains people to notice their experience. They track sensation, they name emotions, and they map subtle patterns. It's valuable and it matters, but it's also incomplete because basic insight doesn't survive intensity. People become more aware, but maybe not more capable. They can articulate their patterns with precision, and then they lose every ounce of that clarity the moment pressure rises. This is not a personal flaw, it's a structural reality. Across interoception research, vagal tone, embodied cognition, and resilient science, the same principle shows up everywhere. Awareness collapses under pressure when the system underneath it cannot hold the load. And when someone has high awareness but low capacity, a very specific thing happens. They know exactly what's happening, but they still can't do anything differently. That's passive impotence, a nervous system with insight but no architecture to support it. Somatic insight without somatic capacity becomes a kind of paralysis, knowing without change. Real transformation requires both the ability to perceive and the ability to act and bear what you perceive. The heartbeat of our work is to bring structure, physiology, and load back into the conversation. Not to replace subtlety, but to give it a body that can actually hold it. That is the gap we're addressing, and it's the place where our two backgrounds first converged. Tom and I come from different disciplines, but they kept pointing us to the same truth. So, different worlds, different entry points, but everywhere we looked, the pattern was the same. People don't break down because they lack insight. They break down because their system can't hold that insight when it matters. They can sense what's possible, but they aren't yet the person who can sustain that level of expression without collapse or fallout. So, together, we built a framework that integrates both worlds, the subtle, psychological identity level work with the structural, capacity building work that makes transformation durable. And inside that work, something consistent kept coming up. Under pressure and under potential, people don't express personality or preference or mindset. They express pattern. 4 patterns specifically. The body organizes itself into 4 predictable configurations depending on the type of intensity it encounters. These aren't necessarily archetypes, although we call them that. They're not roles or traits. They're somatic strategies, the way the nervous system tries to create stability, agency, or protection when something matters. And the moment you understand your pattern, you understand why you lose access to yourself in certain situations, why you lash out when you want to stay patient, why you feel the need to flee and show yourself the room rather than stay steady, for example, and then why you stay coherent in other situations. Most importantly, these patterns are not fixed. They're trainable. Because the goal here isn't just rote optimization, it isn't peak performance, it isn't just becoming better. The goal is coherence, your ability to stay organized, honest, present, fully behind the eyes, under pressure. That's the work of the skins. And so that's where we're going to go next. Before we do, though, if you haven't taken our Somatic Skins quiz yet, pause this video, go down into the description where you'll find the link. It's free, easy 15 questions, and will give you your own personal profile of your native skin. Do that first, and then come back, and the rest of this video will make a lot more sense. Okay, assuming you took the quiz. If you didn't, for reals, go down to the description, take the quiz now, and then come back. To recap, when pressure rises, physical, relational, professional, the nervous system doesn't respond randomly. It organizes itself into recognizable somatic patterns that shape our posture, our breath, our tone, and our attention. We call these patterns skins. And a skin isn't a role or a personality, it's the way your system stabilizes itself in real time. Most people have a native skin, their earliest, most successful solution to staying coherent. Under stress, they collapse back into it automatically. And if that skin has low capacity, everything narrows. Your options seem limited. Your awareness, your creativity, your presence is all smaller. But when you train capacity, that same skin becomes an evolved expression. It's responsive, it's stable, and flexible. The four skins sit on two axes. On the horizontal axis, we have tension and relaxation. On the vertical axis, we have focus and awareness. And from these axes emerge four fundamental orientations: the warrior, the shapeshifter, the sage, and the asset. Each has a specific somatic signature, a gift, and a predictable failure mode. We're going to walk you through each one. Here we go. The warrior is up first. You are the warrior when your system organizes around grit and action. This skin meets resistance by pushing forward, by buckling down, by applying strength and will to move through whatever stands in the way. And your body will reflect that. Your structure becomes strong, your musculature developed, your tone increases, breath firms up, and attention narrows towards the next move. You're built for follow-through. You're built for holding ground, built for doing what others hesitate to do. At high capacity, warrior gives you reliability, integrity, and decisive leadership. You don't flinch at pressure. You organize inside it. You are someone people trust to carry weight and to finish what matters. But at low capacity, the same strengths turn costly. You disconnect from sensitivity, both physically and relationally. Physically, you override limits until you burn out or literally break down. Relationally, you might lose empathy and understanding. You don't see or feel others in the room with you. You push when you should listen. You force when you should feel. The warrior is not meant to be relentless. It's meant to be direct. Your growth inside this skin is learning to keep your strength without hardening, to hold direction without losing connection, and to act with power without overriding your system. The shapeshifter, on the other hand, is on the opposite spectrum of the horizontal axis. You are the shapeshifter when your system organizes around adaptability and fluid intelligence. Where the warrior moves through obstacles, you move around them. Pressure doesn't make you push harder. It makes you look for a different angle, different timing, a different solution. This skin naturally seeks ways to change the environment or release pressure in a way that restores movement. You look for openings. You adjust quickly. You negotiate. You innovate. You read the room and then you reorganize before things get stuck. At high capacity, shapeshifter is flexible, creative, and socially adept. You move through complexity with ease. You adapt without losing yourself. People experience you as fluid, responsive, and dynamic. At low capacity, the same qualities become inconsistency and avoidance. You dodge pressure rather than reorganize it. You soften when structure is needed. You lack follow-through and disperse energy in too many directions, making things chaotic, which might feel easier in the moment, more fun, but harder over time. The shapeshifter isn't about escape. It's about skillful redirection. Your growth is learning how to keep your flexibility anchored, so adaptation doesn't cost you coherence, and ease doesn't replace responsibility. All right, next we have the vertical axis. At the top is the sage. You are the sage when your system organizes around focus, strategy, and analysis. Where the warrior moves forward and the shapeshifter moves around, the sage moves up, taking a vantage point, gaining perspective, organizing information into clarity. When resistance hits, you go into problem-solving mode. You break things into parts, you evaluate, you strategize, you mentally model outcomes to make the best move with the least wasted energy. At high capacity, the sage brings precision, timing, insight, and clear thinking under pressure. You see patterns early, you make elegant decisions, and you understand the landscape better than most. However, at low capacity, that same clarity becomes cynicism. You've seen it all. Detachment, or paralysis by analysis. You disconnect from others. You retreat into your head. You become critical, skeptical, or unable to act because you're over-filtering reality through thought instead of contact. Your work inside the sage skin is not to think less, it's to think with your body still included. When you stay connected while perceiving, your insight becomes wisdom rather than withdrawal. The sage is not cold intellect. It is embodied clarity, intelligence sharpened by presence, not separated from it. And then last but not least is the asset. You are the asset, the seat of awareness itself, when your system organizes around empathy, sensitivity, and subtle awareness. This skin sees what others miss. They sense tone, shifts, energy, unspoken dynamics. You take in information in your sensory body through feeling or sensing before thinking. At high capacity, this makes you one of the most stabilizing, influential forces in any room. High capacity asset is not fragile. It's potent. You don't just sense the field. You set the tone of the field with your presence. Your awareness becomes leadership. Your sensitivity becomes relational intelligence. You can see things, know things with an almost uncanny accuracy. But at low capacity, that same openness turns into powerlessness and porousness. You absorb too much. You self-erase to preserve harmony. You merge with others' emotions, and you lose your own edges in the effort to stay connected. And given long enough, you withdraw, because the sensations are all too much to handle. Your growth in the asset skin is not to feel less, it's to feel with structure, to let sensitivity become information, not overwhelm, to remain permeable without collapsing. The asset is not just the empath. It is attuned intelligence, high sensory intelligence, powerful when well supported, devastating when uncontained. That's the 4. The warrior, the shapeshifter, the sage, and the asset. Each of these skins is intelligent. Each solves a real problem in your early development. It was your superhero structure of yesterday, if you will. But under pressure, the system defaults to the skin it trusts the most, not necessarily at the capacity you need. So even when that pattern can't support what your life requires now, you'll still default to it. The work we're doing here isn't necessarily just about more awareness. It's about building the capacity that makes awareness reliable, useful, accurate. We like to say, you are not the 4. You are the one who chooses. When your structure stabilizes, your perception becomes accurate and your range expands, and you regain the ability to choose and create instead of react. That is embodied power. If you want to explore more of this work at depth, you can find out more in the description below. However, if you've already taken the quiz, your guide is on its way to your inbox, along with a few other orientation emails you'll get over the next few days to help you deepen into this work.